Well, hello, and welcome to the stream. I'm Andy Arconix, Halo the Crow, Alucard MG36, and many other names. And today, oh, sheesh. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. What's going on, everybody? Hope we're all doing well. Hope we're having a good week so far. It is, of course, the magical hump day, I believe, still. Oh, we're so close to the end of the week, chat. You know, that means just a couple of things. One, that means that we get to start over on a project. But two, we get to put in some serious hours on this project. I'm really excited. Either way. And judging by the amount of progress we've made in such a short time on the Magic the Gathering app, I have no doubt we'll be making a great amount of progress even though we're starting over. There's only so much you can do before you start realizing that the problem that you're solving does not get easier as you try to solve it. One of those unfortunate things. But, you know what? We'll try and make it work for us, right? We'll try and get there. We'll try and do our best. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be working on today. But before we get into that, you know, a couple of things. Number one, obviously, we're still supporting the charity Mermaids. Mermaids is a charity in the United Kingdom dedicated to support of trans, non-binary, and gender-questioning youth. I highly recommend you go and check them out because trans rights are human rights, and there is no trans debate. There are just trans people. So, go check it out. Give what you can. And if you can't, just go and spread the message. Number two, we're still using Blazor Eyes. We are going to be using Blazor Eyes for most of our Blazor projects. And we are going to be continuing to use Blazor because I think it's a really nifty framework to just work with and, you know, get stuff done in. So we want to continue with that theme and keep working on it. And then, of course, on top of that, we've got some other stuff that we want to take care of when it comes to working here. We also need to make sure that we satisfy our criteria of making sure that our apps are accessible. Our apps have decent levels of just viability, and they don't really lag out on things. And we also need to make sure that part of our applications are also just as bug-free as possible. So you'll see me copying a lot of code over and back, but for the most part, you know, we'll take what we've done so far, we'll trash it, and we'll just start fresh. That's kind of the whole point here. That's kind of what we want to do. And maybe this time we can actually go, quote unquote, do it the right way. So there's a lot of stuff that maybe we might be able to get to and get done, but realistically, I'm just looking to start out a very basic sample project to just try and get things working. So that's what we're going to do. All right, chat, that's our plan for today, is just to stamp out a very simple solution. So, without much further delay, without much further ado, why don't we get into it? Also, I'm snacking on edamame at the time, too, because I love edamame. Also, it's Walty, thank you for the follow, and Meadow38585, thank you for the follow. Welcome on into the Elman Den, both of you. Hope you enjoy your follower emotes. Alright, so we'll keep that. Now let's add a new project. Now we've been working on this. And actually we've been working on quite a few things here, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to make it a Blazor server app still. I don't really want to do WebAssembly right now because that's going to come with some extra complications, especially when it comes to offline support, and I'd rather have this be just centralized down. Oh yeah, I forgot. Before we do that, we have to do some very specific things here. Had to go and delete all of these previous projects. All right, now it's actually deleted. There we go. I'll just push it out there. What branch is this? Let's go and check this out. Gecko, thanks for the host. What's going on? You were playing until dawn last? Nice. Right on. What's going on, bud? I'm doing well. How are you? Eh. Heh. Doing all right. Just redesigning some D&D minis. Nice. Sorry, chat. It looks like Git, for some reason, doesn't want to respond to me. You'd be an alligator. Nice. Unsafe repository. How is this an unsafe repository? What? All right. What? I just did this. God damn it. Ugh, some days, man. Some days. Holy shit. Okay. All right, chat. Looks like we have some cleanup to do. Strange. I actually didn't expect this. Actually, let's go and clear out all of these, shall we? What the hell? Oh, it's just git clone. What? What in the hell? God damn it. Hayden, what's going on? There we go. Minecrafting? Nice. We're just vibing. Yep, all the vibes. Thanks for shouting out, Caden. All right, chat. So we are going to start over. And one of the top ways that we're going to make sure that we do this is by fundamentally changing how we're going to approach our units here. Okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of pretty much everything that isn't shared or the client. And then we're just going to build back out of there. All right, but we need to think about things in such a fashion that we can make this better. We can make it stronger, and we can make this application work in such a way that we can essentially come to terms with the idea that we weren't approaching it from the correct direction. Hey, what's going on, Kathy? So I'm going to delete these projects. How about some edamame, Kathy? There we go. Yeah. Gecko, I hope you understand what that means, right? All right. So let's go in here. Delete these. And let's build it and see what we get. Get over here. All right, cool. So this will fail when I go and push it, but that's fine. All right, chat. So we've removed our outdated projects. Now this should fail no matter where we go. Okay, we don't want it to build just yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and build this from the ground up in such a fashion, in such a way that our code not only gets restructured to be better, but it gets restructured to work. So we're going to get rid of the context. We're going to get rid of all of these. We're going to get rid of these. Get rid of those. Kathy, don't try and meme me. I'm a little strong today. It really is. Yo, thanks for the resub. I appreciate it. What's going on? How you doing? Thanks for the support. 4 months at tier 1. That's awesome. Thank you so much. How you doing today? And also, I continue to enjoy your ad-free viewing as well as your emotes. Might I recommend Alan and Dumpy? Doing okay? Hold on. And hopefully we can help take that okay up just a bit. Right. Okay, so chat now. Just found out that your grandmother was on her way to the hospital with pneumonia and her oxygen level wasn't good. Oh, shit. That's awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Can we get some hearts, love in the chat for Keo, please? All right, build failed. Cool. Right. You have nothing to apologize for, Keo. You can always use a Discord, though, if topics get a bit heavy for chat. Entity extensions, okay. Get rid of that. We'll do that. What? Why do I have this here? Get rid of that. Okay. Actually, why don't I just delete the pages? Duh. That can stay. These gotta go. All right. IndexedDB, repositories. These gotta go. Okay. Components. These gotta go. Yes, chat, we are starting over. But it's fine. Because this shouldn't take too long to build back up and be better than where we were before. That shouldn't be an issue. There goes that. There goes that. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, let's go build this again. And now we should see build succeeding. There we go. Cool. All right, chat. All right. So, now that we have all of this cleared out, there are a few other things that we're going to have to work with here, right? Because essentially this is starting over, but not necessarily from the ground up, but definitely from a further behind place than what we're used to. Everything that we're going to have to do. Get rid of this for now. Get rid of that. And get rid of application insights for now. Can always add that back later. No, don't run it. There were build errors? Yeah, signal R, that's fine. Get rid of these. Actually, I'll get rid of those. Honestly, you don't know? Fair enough. Oh, that's fine. Build failed. Ah, models. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Oh yeah, Caden? That's fine. That'll do. Imports.razor. Got it. That would do it. I'll just try to hold you back or often jealous of your talents. Do not let them hold you back. You will outshine them someday, and they're afraid of that. You know? Some truth to that. Alright, now if we build this. There we go. Okay. We're just gonna clear that out. Cool. Now to build succeeds. Fix build. All right, so now our application builds. Does this mean it'll run? We'll see. Well, it ain't crashing yet. There we go. Cool, now let's go and check the logs. That's not what I want to do. Control K, Control D. So let's see here. What is our exception? An application error. Cool. Ow. So right now what I'm doing is I'm stripping out all the stuff that was here before that we couldn't seem to get to work when we wanted to, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is simply due to, well, really it's due to us not wanting to keep up the Azure services for now. We'll come back and get those in a bit. But right now, it was causing a little bit more of a headache for the dev work than it was worth, if you will. So right now, what we're going to do, we're just going to do this. Get rid of these ternaries. All right. And then all we should have to do, just do a comma here, a comma here. That should be fine. That's fine. That's fine. Add Blazorize. Options immediate is true. Options dot. True. Okay. And we are using Font Awesome icons for this project because we have access to Font Awesome. Building the app there. Use environment middleware. Yeah. Use serial log request logging. Map controllers, map Blazor hub, app starting. Cool. All right, that's a debug logger. All right, let's run it again. Awesome. Let's go and check out why the app failed to start this time. That's because it's somewhere in the extensions, isn't it? God damn it. Yeah. So I'm gonna get rid of these. I think that's what we want to do. I don't know exactly how big that is, but that's what we're going to work with. Who really cares? I'm going to get rid of this for now. Get rid of this. And this. All right. Okay. Error. No authentication scheme. Okay. Let's get rid of that. And we'll come back to the program. That's fine. That's fine. I think those calls should be fine. Cool. All right, so we're back to where we were. Nice. Now we just have a few other things to go with, right? Number one is trying to go through the idea that we want to do. You somewhat regret showing ski frog stickers? Oh no. Why do you regret that, Kathy? What'd ski do to you? I'm just going to update all of these real quick, chat. What did you learn? Never show ski frog stuff? Oh no. Oh, Kathy. You silly goose, you. All right, chat. So what are we going to do with this information? What are we going to do now that we know? But you did find some fried frog stickers. Nice. Nice. Okay, so we can see here that we are targeting .NET 6, which is great. Got everything else that we want to get here. We have all of our NuGet packages. Awesome, awesome. But this is the reason why I wanted to start over, is because we were going about this not necessarily in the best way for the architecture that we were setting up. And you could tell this because it was getting a lot more difficult to work with. Right? And so what do we want to do? Well, we want to streamline things. Okay? We want to make sure that everything that we do works well and is easy to work with. So that's kind of the goal here, is we want to make sure that when we run this application, it not just runs successfully, but it runs in a constrained environment particularly well. And so with all the improvements that we've made to the Magic the Gathering app, I thought, well, why not try and make these improvements here in our security application? You know? So that's where we're at. And this is one of the things that we want to think about as we go forward. One of the things that we want to continue to do. So we can come back and we can see that maybe we don't necessarily... Okay. How do I put this? Here's part of the issue. Our underlying data models, as well as just our inability to, we'll say, import data from a CSV, right? If we're given a CSV, much like we were in the Magic the Gathering app, we should be able to uncompress it and import it. nice and easy. And we want to interface with as many APIs as possible that the con actually uses. So one of those is, of course, going to be the Google Docs that we work with. But we can come to that later. Right now, we have seed data that we want to get displayed. And so we were doing that last time, but last time we were, again, doing it in a very complicated fashion compared to what I think we actually could do. And that's probably part and parcel due to my just insistence on maintaining the old themes, the old varieties. And, you know, I do like this front end a bit. I don't mind it. I don't mind this at all, but, and here's the thing, we need to make sure, again, that we're as close to perfect as possible. And accessible in more directions than you would expect. So, all right, let's go and attack part of the problem here, right? So we lack models. And we need models. Now, why do we need models? Because we need something to represent our data. We don't need stored procedures, so we can just get rid of that. But what we're going to need here, chat, something that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to assess whether or not part of our let me put it to you this way. Our models in our database for Yoma aren't as well structured as they should be. Or at least as well structured as I would feel comfortable with them being. Did I get the job done? Yes. I mean, take a look, right? And we can always add more models as time goes on. It's not that this is a bad thing. It's just that this might not be the best way to go and approach this. If that makes sense. So one of the things that we're going to want to do is I think we're going to want to generate some migrations. And so in order to do that successfully, one of the things that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to, of course, create a couple of projects to go and reflect this. But we also need to understand that maybe one of the things that we want to do with this eventually is just make sure that we're not directly touching the models in the front end. All right? Because remember, what we're looking for is our event-driven / event-sourced architecture. And so with that in mind, that's going to mean a couple of things. One, that we don't touch the actual models themselves in the front end. We send back a series of events that cascade through, get played through a queue, and then get processed off. All right? This is complicated. And the way I was doing it before was not necessarily the best way to go and approach this problem. So we want to keep our data models truly separate from everything else. So we're not going to call that project core. So I'm going to add another class library. And we'll just call this ysecops.data.ef core. Created in .NET 6. Get rid of class 1. And we will of course add the reference to the shared. So we're going to need that. And then we'll also add the test project. And ysecops.data.ef core.tests. And this will, of course, have dependencies on the other two projects. So that'll have a dependency on shared and EF core, which is great. All right, perfect. All right. So now that we have this, let's go and add some packages. So one of the things that we're going to want to do, obviously, is log. We're going to want to log the shit out of this. And we're going to install Entity Framework Core. We're going to install SQL Server. Install Entity Framework Core tools. Dependency injection. Logging. Design. See. Install the data.sql client just in case. Okay, so we have those. And then we'll install system.link.async. I'll also add this one as well. And we'll go and check out another thing from Entity Framework Core. We'll install abstractions. Yep. We'll install relational. Oh boy, Gecko. I'm also going to install design. Okay. And then I'll install this as well. I'll install this. Cool. And we'll add extensions here. And we'll call this service collection extensions as per usual. Kathy, why are you putting smelly underwear on people? There we go. Public static. I service collection. Snow the Arctic Fox. What's going on? How are we doing, Snow? Add YSEC data services. So I read the alert, Glass, and then I heard it twice. That's why you saw me jump. What's going on, Glasswell? How you doing? Oh, man. What's going on, everyone? Here, we'll pass this down. String, YSecOps, connection string. And we'll have this return services. And then we'll do a busy day. I believe it. Services.add DB context factory. Cool DB context factory. Actually, we can't do that yet. Because we don't have a DB context. So I have to get to that in just a moment, too. I feel you on that, Glass. Oh, Glass, thanks for gifting that sub to Arctic. Or to Snow. And Glass, thank you for gifting that sub to Gecko. I appreciate it. I hope you two enjoy your ad-free viewing as well as your emotes. Might I recommend Alu to Dumpy or Alu to Splat. And highly, highly, highly recommend, of course, thanking Glasswell. One, by thanking him in chat, but two, by also going and wishlisting the game The Tale of Greenbrier on stream, or going and checking out the game that he's currently working on with Ceruli, which I actually forgot the name of. Whoops. But go and wishlist The Tale of Greenbrier on Steam today. Or perish. No, but imagine. Thank you, Glass. I appreciate it. You wishlisted it months ago? Well, you can also follow the category. The Steam page for Snack Attack isn't live yet. Got it. Going to order a burger. I want a burger. Good to know. Good to know, Glass. I'll keep that in mind. When it is updated, I'll update both of your commands. But also, all right, let's go and see what we can do with EF Core Power Tools. Yeah, another house art done. Nice. I'm excited to see it, Glass. One Gecko Borgor coming right up. Oh yeah, I forgot. I need to upload that emote. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm going to add a database connection. And the bonk. Yes, absolutely. Nice. EF Core 6. And die! Gecko. Got my mind's all over the place. Glass, thanks for the 500 bits. Calling me a hentai. My mind is all over the goddamn place. Alright, good there. Models. Gecko does have a hentai quote. Gecko has a few, actually. Context. There's a freaking Enderman outside your door? Oh, no. Remove default. Use many to many. Split into configuration. After doing all these houses, you realize you're going to have to redo all the commercial building art I already did because they pale in comparison. Oh no, Glass. I feel you on that though. All right, let's go and see what happens. Hey, let's go, baby. All right. So we have generated a DB context. How cool is that? I think that's cool. Personally. We have all the configurations listed here. But this time, here's what we're going to do, chat. We're going to keep the models for this in this package. That's what we're going to do. You've been here for 5 minutes and you realize something? What's going on? You have no freaking idea what's going on. You can do !YSEC or !project to find out what I'm working on, but I can also tell you, I mean, I'm working on a application for an anime convention that I work for. And actually, I owe them this now because it's been so long since I went to go and start it. So that's what's going on. This is for the security team that I work with. Software engineering. More like Weebsoft, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's come back here. So, services.add. You have nothing to apologize for, Glass. You're good. What the hell is our context name? You know, account security ops context. Perfect. Options. Options dot. Use SQL Server. SecOps connection string. Configure. Configure dot enable retry on failure. True. Configure dot enable retry on failure. It's true. Configure dot. What are you taking? What the hell? Configures the context use relational database semantics by default. Okay, that is true. That's fine. Okay, cool. Looks like we would just set up all the defaults anyway, so I'm not smart enough to dick with the advanced settings, so we got that. Options dot. Sure. If debug and if I guess technically we could just do this. Vampire, what's going on? No, actually, I can just do this, right? Hey, who said I needed the code swell? I can just code like shit and get this to work. Let's go, baby. Static read-only iLogger factory. How the hell am I doing this? God damn it. Why can't I remember how to do this at any time? Also, it's almost time for an ad break, which means I'm going to go and get some water, probably some ice cream, and then I'll be back after the ad break is done. Now looking forward to the busy weekend. I feel you on that. There it is. I am very smart. Sick. Where you are, you have Hoop Fest happening this weekend. Oh, okay. All right, chat. I'll see you in just a little bit. Hey, yo. What's going on, chap? There we go. We have registered our DB context. Let's go. Me too. All right, so chat. Chat, let's think about this for a moment here, right? One of the issues that we were running into, especially when we were doing our event sourcing area, was that we were not really getting the information that we wanted back, and the way we were getting our information back wasn't exactly in our best interest, if you will, right? It was just a constant deserialize, then deserialize, then deserialize, then deserialize, and we would end up with like 15 deserialized objects all in one. We don't want to do that. We just want to have a single level per event, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're starting over, is so we can simplify that. And hopefully, one of the big things that we can do here is we can actually go and make it so that way, well, realistically, what I'm hoping for is that we can actually just pass events as our mutations, events and queries, and we never have to actually worry about passing actual data models outside of a read-only context. So what does that mean for us here? That means a few things. One, that now any changes that happen will be immutable. There is no way we can change them in transit. All right. So that's a big deal. Two, things that affect data models stay in the data layer far away from the UI. That's where we want to keep stuff. And three, when we want to modify, we're modifying the event. We're causing an event to trigger that modifies the underlying object eventually, thus giving us, hopefully, better offline support. So that's what we want to work with. So we'll generate a repositories directory. And then, I believe one of the big things that we want to do, one, is of course we want to go and check this out and make sure that everything's displaying correctly. So that's fine. Let's go into our configuration files and check that out as well. I do prefer the file scope namespaces. It's so much cleaner. Look at this donkey of a streamer, claims to be a crow, but we all know crows don't program for others. They program for the thickest chocolate eater in town only. Yo, what's going on, Giga? How are we doing? Oh. Potato. Uh-oh. Mods, can we get a shout out to Giga, please? Glass, thanks for gifting that sub to Giga. Appreciate it. I don't know why the alert didn't go off, but I'll run it again. But Glasswell, thank you for gifting that sub to Giga. I appreciate it. Giga, welcome back to the Omen Den. Hope you enjoy your emotes and your ad-free viewing. Okay. In the generosity department? Ayo. Okay. Any billionaire? Yeah, fair enough. Just like this so much. Look at how much cleaner it is with everything so much further to the left. Just like IRL. Although, I suppose a leftist wouldn't say. What? Kathy got sent to the graveyard. Oh boy. Look at those comfy emotes. But Gecko, meeting them gives us a chance to moiter them. Nice. We're just gonna do that there. Do that. Clean up our vertical space a little bit. Do that. Sorry, chat. I like having a little bit of cleanup here. Now you remember that I was also going heavy / ham on class documentation. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But right now, I'm more concerned with just getting this up and off the ground. We know what we must do. And we know how we want this to be implemented. Damn, Gecko. What did you learn? Okay. So before we go down this rabbit hole, I want to illustrate something, and we're going to do that in MS Paint real quick, because I'm bad at this. You learn nothing. Your brain is too small to learn. I feel you on that. Okay. So, again, you'll be familiar. I use the hexagon a lot to describe my coding architecture. I'm not saying it's the best shape, but it does tessellate, and we love that for us. But why do you hate? Gecko, everybody has their off days. Everybody has their on days, right? just for simplicity. Actually, no, that's not even going to be true anymore. I'm going to eat that fucking crow. Don't do it. We don't taste very good. You'll live to regret it. Okay, so let's go and assume some things. We have essentially our application structured. I'm just going to put this out over here. We have our application structured essentially something like this, right? Where this is going to be our core drivers. This is going to be our Blazor front end. And this is going to be our model database. All right. And so essentially, what we want to do here is we want to add a little bit of distinction into how we're retrieving things and how we're pushing things back, right? So normally you would see me draw two arrows between the front end and the core drivers, and then the core drivers and the database to illustrate a layer of interactivity between them. And then you could reasonably draw the conclusion that effects in the model database will be displayed in the front end. But we don't necessarily want something that direct. And there might be a couple of reasons for that in an actual production scenario. But what we're going to do here instead is we're just going to try and work with this idea that maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't be interacting with a model database directly. Instead, we should be interacting with our event store. And now this might cost us a little bit in terms of just general performance, but it might save us in terms of integrity. And data integrity is something that we want. Now, let's go and check this out, right? Because one of the big things that we can do here, obviously, is we can, of course, draw the up arrow and the down arrow over here. And then, essentially, facilitate communication between our events and our models. Okay. So this is another idea that I'm having. This is another type of architecture. Now, to keep these consistent here, of course, we could add, we're just going to make this a rounded square. Some sort, or a rounded rectangle. Some sort of background updating service, right? And so the idea here is that now we've essentially said, hey, core drivers, there's something in our event store that you need to read, process, and deliver to our front end. And that might be something worthwhile. But before we even get to the front end, right, we're going to have some sort of mediator interface that facilitates between queries and commands. And queries are going to be our read-only data, and commands are going to be our write-only data. In other words, what happens in a command will translate to an event, which will then go and update the eventual model. So there's that idea as well. And that will finally be translated into the front end. And so this is kind of the architecture that I'm looking at, a little bit abstracted. Not necessarily saying that these two are actually going to be separate, but that's how we're going to try and develop outward. And so now, with the implementation of our event store being a little bit more successful, I think what we'll start to see is we'll start to see a bit more consistency in our behavior as well as in our display. And we'll have a lot easier of a time with things like caching and refreshing the cache, because we'll be able to rebuild any event that happens. Well, we'll be able to rebuild essentially anything that happens within a reasonable scope from the event store. Now, you'll notice that I've left this arrow one directional here, and that's somewhat on purpose, but it's also somewhat misleading, because how do we solve the issue, the shopping cart issue, if you will? How do we solve the concurrent shopping cart issue? How do we solve this idea that sometimes the event store, we don't want the event store to essentially be a God object, right? We don't want it to be the end-all, be-all of everything. But we do want it to be a reliable source. And how do we solve that? Well, one, the event store is append only, so we can only add to it. There's no deleting from it. But two, we have a need here to go and drive events into the model database and then refresh the event store based off of that. So it's almost like an intentional circular dependency, but not really, because these two don't depend on each other directly. So we're going to facilitate that communication as well. So with this newish / change in architecture applied here, I think what we'll start to see, again, is much better usage with concurrency, much better integrity, and more streamlined communication between the front end and the mediator layer than what we had before. So I think that's, at the end of the day, a little bit more worthwhile. So that's pretty much the long explanation for why I'm keeping these particular models distinct from what we're eventually going to use to write to them. Now, that being said, we're still going to have repositories and things to call out, but those will all be issued out from the shared layer, and then the shared layer will facilitate the communication between mediator and EF core, but the client will only ever experience the mediator layer. And it will only ever send data back via events or queries. A web of dark magic, got it? Yeah. Pretty much. There is going to be a bit of hand waving here as we continue on through this. So why don't we start with trying to re-envision what a repository might look like. Or how do we envision a repository, right? Because that's the other thing that we have to keep in mind, is that now with this particular style, this particular architecture, we need to start building out from events outward. So, I think what that means that we can do is that you'll notice that we already have our parameters here. So I think what we can do is we can start building outward from here. So let's start considering some of the following. All right, first, because it's here, we do have to actually add this. Right. Okay, we can add that later. All right. So let's add another project. And this project will, of course, be another class library. And this will be ysecops.events.efcore. Not the W key. And then we'll also add the test project here. Whoops. There we go. Cool. All right. And same setup here is we're just going to add a bunch of NuGet packages. You hate Island workdays? I feel you. So we're going to add this. I'm going to add this. Not motivated at all. I feel you on that, Giga. I don't know if I need this, but I'll add it anyway. Okay, cool. Extensions. Logging abstractions, yep. Configuration, yep. Dependency injection, yep. 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 Go and add logging stuff. There we go. Is there anything else that I added to the regular EF core? System.link.async. How could I forget? This'll come in handy. Although hypothetically, we could just use something like Dapper instead of Entity Framework and get much better performance and results. Don't really want to use Dapper right now. Okay. Where is the assembly file? Deep Indent C injection. God damn it, Glass. All right, so we got that. Extensions. Service collection. Extensions. Kathy, this isn't Fortnite. Why are you dabbing, right? Public static class. Public static service collection. Add YSEC event store services. Services string YSEC event store connection. Services. All right, and then we'll come back up into here. Grab this code. Then dab a raw chicken with some tangy marinade. Stop. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we got that. So that's good news. All right, next thing to do. EF Core Power Tools, reverse engineer. Add. Local. YSEC offset event store. Okay. Okay. Don't I have view definition rights? Advanced. And Minecraft crashed. Uh-oh. All right. Hey, look at that. Cool. Did the server crash or did your instance crash? And keep the creepers away from the server? Oh boy. Yes, not. Uh-oh. Let's see here. So services.add